I woke up to the same relentless sun, a blazing orb that had been scorching our village, TMU, for weeks. The heat was unbearable, and the land was parched, cracked into a mosaic of dry, dusty crevices. The once lush fields that used to yield plentiful crops now lay barren and lifeless. The river, which had always been a dependable source of water, was nothing more than a bed of dried mud. Every day was a struggle. My family and I, along with the rest of the village, trudged to the small, distant spring that had become our only source of water. It was a long walk, and the water we collected barely sufficed. The animals were weakening, and the crops we had so carefully tended were withering away. Our situation seemed dire, and there was an air of desperation that hung over the village like a heavy fog. I was just a boy named Kofi, but I felt the weight of our collective worry. My mother, who had always been a pillar of strength, was now visibly strained. She tried to keep her spirits up for my younger sister, Amara, and for me, but I could see the fear in her eyes. It was a fear that was echoed in the faces of the villagers. Fear of the unknown, of whether we would survive this drought. One evening, as I sat alone by the riverbed, I felt an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. The land seemed to stretch endlessly before me, a vast expanse of nothingness. I remembered the stories my grandmother used to tell us about the ancestors, about their ability to call upon the spirits of the land to bring rain and abundance. Those stories had seemed like fairy tales, but now, with our survival at stake, I found myself clinging to them with a newfound desperation. I began to think about the possibility of manifesting change. I had heard whispers of people who could shape their reality through sheer belief, who could bring about miracles through the power of their minds. I didn't know if it was true, but I had to try. The idea took root in my mind, growing stronger with each passing day. I wasn't a man of great knowledge or power, but I had something else: faith. That night, I sat outside under the stars, trying to recall the rituals and prayers my grandmother had taught me. I closed my eyes and focused on the vision of rain, a torrential downpour that would rejuvenate the land, fill the river, and bring life back to our village. I pictured the fields lush and green, the animals healthy and strong, and the well overflowing with clean, fresh water. I poured all my hope, all my desperation, into that vision, holding on to it with every ounce of belief I could muster. I fell asleep on the ground that night, exhausted from the emotional and physical strain of the past few weeks. When I woke, the sun was already high, and the land was still dry. For a moment, I felt a pang of disappointment. But I couldn't afford to give up. I had to believe that something would change, that my prayers had not gone unheard. Days passed, and the drought persisted. The village grew increasingly anxious. Talks of abandoning TAMU began circulating, but the reality was that many of us had no other place to go, no means of leaving. The well had long run dry, and the distant spring was becoming a harder trek with each passing day. It seemed as though hope was slipping through our fingers like grains of sand. I continued my nightly prayers, each time with the same fervent hope and belief. I didn't tell anyone about my attempts to manifest change. I didn't want to give them false hope or face the possibility of failure. But deep down, I believed that something was going to happen, that my prayers were being heard. Then, one night, as I sat outside in my usual spot, the sky began to change. I noticed a shift in the air, a cool breeze that was almost like a whisper of what was to come. I looked up and saw dark clouds beginning to gather. My heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The clouds grew denser, the sky darker, and the wind picked up, swirling around me. The villagers began to notice too. They gathered outside, their faces turned skyward, their expressions a mix of hope and skepticism. The anticipation was palpable. The wind howled louder, the clouds thickened, and then, with a sudden and deafening crack, the sky opened up. Rain poured down in a torrential deluge, drenching everything in its path. It was as if the heavens had been waiting for this moment, ready to release all the water they had been holding back. The village erupted into cheers. People danced and sang in the rain, their joy uncontainable. I stood there, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was happening. The well, which had been dry for so long, began to fill with fresh, clean water. The riverbed, which had been empty, started to flow again, its waters rising rapidly. It wasn't just a trickle. It was a powerful rush that promised to restore life to the land. I could hardly believe my eyes. The rain didn't just bring relief. It seemed to bring with it a miracle. As the days passed, the village transformed. The fields, once barren and cracked, began to recover. Crops sprouted up from the soil, growing strong and healthy. The animals, who had been weak and emaciated, regained their strength. The well became a focal point of the village, not just for its practical use, but as a symbol of our survival and our ability to overcome adversity. The villagers held a special celebration in my honor, calling it the Feast of the Well. It was a joyous occasion, filled with laughter, music, and dancing. I was uncomfortable with the attention, preferring to stay out of the spotlight, but I couldn't deny the pride I felt in what we had achieved together. The well had brought us back from the brink, but it was the collective spirit of the village that had made it possible. As the years went by, the well continued to serve as a reminder of what we had accomplished. It became a place of gathering, where people would come to fetch water, share stories, and celebrate life. TAMU, once a village on the edge of collapse, became a symbol of resilience and hope. The lessons I learned during that time stayed with me. I realized that the power of belief and manifestation was not just about asking for something and waiting for it to happen. It was about understanding the strength within ourselves, the strength that comes from hope, faith, and determination. The well was more than just a source of water. It was a testament to what we could achieve when we came together and believed in the impossible. I continued to be involved in the village's affairs, helping to guide and support my people through the ups and downs of life. Each challenge was met with the same spirit of resilience and hope that had carried us through the drought. The well was a constant reminder of our ability to overcome difficulties, and it inspired us to strive for better, to work together, and to never give up, no matter how dire the situation might seem. And so, life in TAMU went on, shaped by the miracles we had witnessed and the strength we had found within ourselves. The well remained a symbol of our enduring spirit, a testament to the power of belief and the ability to manifest change. Each time I looked at it, I was reminded of the boy who had dared to believe, and of the village that had come together to make that belief a reality.